goes that one. And what's this thing up to? I'm gonna click a button. Yeah, good enough. That should do. Very cool. Okay. Good morning. Let's see. Can I figure out how to find the chat? Where is the chat? There's the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here. Scoot this up there. Today is a day. That is for sure. And I'm just looking for this right here. If anybody is there. Okay, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are things looking? Ready for some painting? Because I am barely. I'm just going to go quickly check some things. I'm trying to make 3 paintings today, so we're going to see how it goes. All right. Just kind of looking for the chat here. Open panel. Nope, that's not working. Whew. If you can't tell, I have quite a cold right now, so that's exciting. It always comes at the worst time, but that's okay. I'm just trying to find the chat. Where is the chat? Oh, that explains that I'm on the wrong channel. That's fine. I'll just pause it there. All right. Well, here we are. Let's just. Good morning. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you. Well, it's like one of those ones too, where it's kind of like you get the kick in the face, and then you just sound terrible and kind of feel a little bit awful. But this is life with kids, I think. So we just can be doing some of that. I've also been drinking tea like an absolute fish. So that's been. I don't know if that's like helping, but like at least I am more hydrated than usual. So that's something. Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing 3 paintings today. I'm not doing a backyard animal per se. I have a bunch of work that I have for Keen. So I'm doing really cool video. If you remember the chucking at 50K, this whole, whoops, that's kind of what's fun about an accordion journal. Look at that. Whole chucking at 50K thing. And so there's a couple paintings that I didn't make over the process of the race, like Chrissy Mole, Chrissy Mal, who is the runner in here. So she's the one doing all kinds of cool stuff, but she's won a bunch of races all over the world, and in the video we're probably going to talk about that. So I need to have it captured. Whoop! Did we just get rated? Holy cow! All right, welcome. Wow. All right, and we're going. Well, hey everybody, my name is Max. I'm a painter, I'm a filmmaker, and I don't always know how to use technology. So if somebody could tell me where you're rating from, I would love to learn more. But what I'm doing right now is I'm gonna make some paintings of well, some like cool landscapes here. So if you'd like, I can just jump right into that because I feel like we already love you and are happy to be here. Oh, okay. Oh, the World Birds. Okay, very cool. So here we go. World Bird Sanctuary. Oh, that's the best. Well, shoot. I was planning on like sketching some landscapes. Should we sketch some birds instead? Technically, I'm supposed to be sketching landscapes. Screw it. Let's do some birds. Let me go get a new sketchbook. All right. We're doing birds. Which birds is the real question, though. Get to work. We have done. Let's see. So far we've done a kingfisher. There's a kingfisher, and here is a Stellar's jay. But if I get some purple martin, oh, one of those, yeah, we could do black vulture. Let me know. We're doing a bird. We're doing a bird. You don't raid for nothing. Tell me what we're doing. Black vulture. I'm seeing black vulture. Herons. Love herons. Black crowned night heron. Okay, I'm seeing a heron theme. An owl. An owl. What are we? Is there any consensus? Night heron. Pelican. Was it the same person saying night heron twice though? If so, very clever because I can't like move fast enough to see names. Owl, owl, night heron. I'm seeing a lot of night herons. I don't even know what a night heron is. Simply do all the birds. Actually, you want to see something kind of like embarrassing? Maybe not embarrassing. So there's these tiny little sketchbooks that I was sent, which are just wildly cute. And so I have started to here. Don't I need some serious patience here. I have started to paint little tiny things in them. So here's like the Iditarod just happened in Anchorage. So I painted all kinds of little sled dogs. So this is the little sled dog book that I'm slowly filling up. But then because I love birds, I'm not like a good birder. I don't always know what they are, but I'm a bird enthusiast. I like love birds. So I was like, what if I start to write down all the birds that I see in this tiny little thing? So I got a good start and then fell right off the wagon. But so here's like a tiny, tiny, tiny little bird book. Some of the birds that I've seen, uh, just like little ones. But I kind of love the fact that you can't get them too fancy in a tiny little book like this. I only have a couple days worth, and you can see I have like skipped many days, and I've seen many birds, but haven't done this. But I don't know. There's something just like tiny, tiny, tiny birds. Ugh. All right, but we are going to be doing a night heron. It looks like. Let me go see what a night heron looks like. Find out some facts about these, because that sounds fascinating. Let's see, night heron. What is a night heron? Oh, sweet. Okay, night herons. Black crown night heron. These look neat. Oh, how fun. Okay, let's absolutely sketch a night heron. I'll do it in this book. So this is our backyard animals book. We've often done little kind of every like we have. What do I say? Sorry, I'm kind of sick, so my brain isn't like fully there. We made a coloring book of all kinds of little backyard animals, which you can find on the Trailbound Sketches website. But then you can trace them, and then we've been kind of painting them in, which has been a lot of fun. And so at first I was just painting the animal, and then I started painting the landscape that they're in, because without, as you all know, without the landscapes, you don't have the critters, and they're worth protecting. Protect one, you have the other. So we've done like hedgehogs and manatees with mangroves, orcas with the Pacific Northwest, Steller's jay. This is actually painted out in the cold. And so let's see. Kind of getting to the end of this sketchbook, but let's add a night heron. It's not part of the thing, but I'm easily distracted, obviously, and this sounds like a fun thing to do. Do I have a free page? Is the real question. Ooh, this might be start a new book kind of time. Well, that is exciting. All right, new book, new thing. Night heron it is. Let me just go see what we're rocking with here. What do I have in this one? Oh, this is the tower one. Yeah, we could do it in this one. This could be kind of fun. In here, maybe? Unless I have another book. One moment. We will be painting. I swear. Let's... Yeah, let's do it. Okay. We'll do it in this one. Here we go. Just break the spine of this thing a little bit. Okay. So we'll be doing a night heron, and let's paint where they live. Okay. T. The sound of flipping pages is so relaxing, though. Do you need some pages? I've just been getting into just do a little bit of this for you. There we go. All right, now that we're relaxed, I've also been getting really into these accordion notebooks, which are super, super fun. So like, it's a giant notebook of everything. So I just did this big race where it started and stopped in the same place, but I wanted to show everything that happened kind of in between it. So these have been a ton of fun, and I'm trying to kind of figure out how to do things like that, whether it's a birding trip or a trip to find one of my grandmother's sketches or whatever it is. But these are a riot. All right, we're gonna do night heron. So let's start. These are the materials I'll be using today. Probably pencil just to start. These are fun little ones that you can put any kind of color in as well, which is kind of a riot. They're called width. We're going to be using a little bit of some color, kind of a nice messy palette, but these are the colors I'm rocking with. Got a little bit of indigo, some kind of purple. some kind of dark blue, light blue, green, brown. This is called moon glow, which is a fun one. A red, a yellow, and another yellow. And I'm not sure why I even have that one there. It's kind of just a duplicate. But I think my palette is so coated in paint at this point, I can't really take them out. And then we're also going to be using probably just a standard, maybe 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 pen right here. Yep, 0.5. Got a little bit of water, of course. And then for a night heron, we might need a little bit of a white gel pen, but probably not. We'll see. So here is the setup. I'm going to be adding a little bit of this. Oh, a brush. Sorry. Brushes help with watercolor, don't they? There we go. All right, we're just going to be grabbing a little bit of brush. These are fun little travel brushes. You can just... Oh, drying out your micron pen. That happens to me all the time. I feel like the 0.1s last, they're almost like single serving, you know? You get one for just like a tiny little bit of time, and they're lovely for the 1.5 drawings that you get to make with them, and then they're gone. Okay. Let me just grab a little bit of tape. We'll tape it down. Get right to it. There we go. Now you can tape stuff like this, or in my case, I mean, a lot of times I think I'm just adding tape to the back just to make sure that it stays there. Let's see, a little bit of this. And so night herons, let's find out a little bit about these. What is a night heron all about? Night heron facts. Let's go see it. Because they look pretty cool. And herons, like, I know a lot about great blue herons. Those are pretty wild. Even the fact that there's like different species from the East Coast to the West Coast, primarily in what they eat. The East Coast herons are all amphibians and crustaceans and stuff like that. And West Coast herons will also eat mice, which is kind of wild that it's like a East Coast, West Coast thing. You think the West Coast ones would be pescatarians, but no. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Do you know I Paint Burbs? Oh, I Paint Burbs is amazing. Yes. Liz is the coolest. Like, legitimately the coolest. I hope that they come up to Alaska sometime so we can paint in the wild and go find some cool birds. Just put it out into the world. You can then pressure Liz to do this. Okay, it's a stocky, widespread heron found globally. Good. I like a nice widespread heron. Known for being the most active at dusk and dark. Night heron, makes sense. And they are roughly 2 feet tall, with red eyes, a distinct black and gray plumage, and they nest in large colonies laying 3 to 5 greenish eggs. Okay, cool. Behavior, hunting, patient hunters, great appearance, nesting, predators. Predators? Who eats these things? Oh, crows and raccoons. Oh, that's too bad. Probably for the eggs. And they're all over the place. Great. All right. Well, we're going to sketch one. It's going to be super fun. Oh, yeah. Purple martins are just cool stuff. All right. And I am sick as a dog, so I'm going to go blow my nose away from the microphone. Do dogs really get that sick? I feel like dogs just like hack up and have runny noses all the time, so I feel like that's not even really a fair thing. Okay, now the real question is, what do we do we make them like stretched out? I feel like there's a bunch of different kinds of heron. Like there's the we'll just do a couple test sketches here. There's like the real stretchy kind where they're like all where they're kind of all like bunched up, kind of a sort of a squashed up bird. They're just so stretchy. Like how do you pick which one? There's like this kind, or oh right, I probably should not take this down. There's like this kind, or there's like when they're walking, or when they're flying. Oh, let's do them flying. Yeah. I think we're gonna do them flying. Let me go see if I can find a reference photo really quick. They are kind of a stocky heron though, aren't they? I'm kind of used to like the great blue herons, which are just so pterodactyl in their shape. I think that's like the official term. But I feel like this heron is kind of a stocky one. Let's do a flying heron. I think that'd be kind of cool. And no, you know what? I take it back. We're gonna do just like a walking one so we can see their feathers. And thank you to whoever suggested night heron. This is gonna be a fun one. I hope. If it's not, how dare you? Here we go. All right, night heron. I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm supposed to be doing work right now, but I appreciate this distraction. This is going to be a hoot. Except for you who suggested owls, in which case this is actually not going to be a hoot, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, I'm going to use this sheet of paper. Put our tape back on. And if I didn't introduce what I'm up to, this is going to be a really fun, quick watercolor. I'm going to do a night heron, a la the suggestion. Thank you. And here we go. So we are going to do kind of that little, I think we're going to do that little sort of like waiting body. They said they're patient little hunters. And we'll maybe put it dawn or dusk. We're going to make the painting first, and then we'll make the landscape second. Just do a quick one that way. So here we go. A little bit down here, over to the edge. And they have these red eyes, apparently. So we'll put one of those kind of loosely there. And I'll put like a quick, pretty easy, loose, just whatever you call it, outline with pencil, and then I'll be filling that in with a little bit of pen in just a moment. So we're gonna add a little bit here, a bit over to the side, and then adding down one of our legs. Maybe another leg here. And if I was clever, I would have put this on a better kind of, I would have put this on a bit more of a, like, so I could see the reflection, but instead I'm gonna kind of put it in the grass, give it somewhere to kind of hide. There we go. So something kind of like this. It's quick, it's easy. And then next, we're going to be doing a little bit of just a little bit of some pen outline, kind of just to make myself my own coloring book is sort of what I'm aiming for. And I'm going to start with the head because that is going to be the most mess upable part. So I do think it's worth kind of not going for the easy stuff first, go for the most mess upable thing, because that way if you do like absolutely ruin your sketch, you can start a new one. Okay, a little bit of that beak. Honestly, for a heron, a much shorter beak than I'm used to, but I like it. I like it. Not that this bird needs, you know, compliments. What am I saying? All birds need compliments. I feel like I'd be deeply insecure if I was a bird. I mean, I'm deeply insecure as a person, but gosh, if I was a bird. Or not. Maybe not. Especially if I was a heron with, like, those big, long, sexy feathers. I guess their feathers, like how the great blue herons determine what is a, you know, what is a good-looking heron. So they've got this nice, sexy feather. That's like all the mascara they need. That one feather. I think they make some noises and hoot around and jump about, but okay, we're going to add a little bit over here. And we're just adding a little bit of our feathers, going up and around, and then here's our back. Probably getting this wrong because I'm not used to stocky herons. A little bit like this. We're going to have a little bit of some legs. Sorry, they have quite a lot of legs. But we're going to put that here. I don't think I'm going to mess with the feet. This is a beautiful thing with water birds, is if you don't want to do feet, you don't have to, because watch this. Water, boom, done, check. So I'm just going to put maybe a couple little ripples or something like that. And I don't have to do feet anymore. It's a great cop-out. As an artist, that is. Water's kind of hard to do, but it works. And I appreciate the kindness. We'll see how it turns out. With watercolor, you never really know until the end, which is why it's always worth completing a painting, because sometimes it's like until the ending is when it really works out. Okay, so I'm gonna add this, and I'm gonna add a little bit of a border here, just so I can get that kind of dawn dusk-ness going in there. But I am gonna close it out right here, so I can go kind of a full border. If you've ever played, you know, Magic or something like that, and there's always the alternate artwork where people kind of fill in something, you can kind of get that effect by just letting your border sort of stop halfway. All right, so we have our beak, we have the way it goes in, we have the eye, which I'm gonna just put a little bit over here like this, maybe even adding in that little white dot, but I might do that at the end because the eye is quite red from what I understand. And here we go. And the rest of our bird. This might be a bit more squat than in real life, but that's okay. A little bit of coloring in, and we have a good start. Ish, I hope. Ta-da! Okay. Now it's time to ruin this. So we have a little bit of the start, and now we're gonna just quickly kind of do all the rest here. So let me figure out a better layout perhaps. So this is, it's good. Okay, I so appreciate the compliments. Herons need more compliments than they get. I'm just gonna put this right here or something like that. I don't know what I'm doing. And here we go. I'm gonna show you how much water I'm using. So here's our heron. Actually, I'm not. We're gonna zoom right in so you get to see all the herony goodness. And hello everybody. This is our night heron. Who suggested this, by the way? I feel like there's a bunch of, like, is there a reason that night herons are so top of mind? Were you looking at night herons or something in the World Bird Sanctuary? Like, what was the impetus? They're cool. They're super cool, but there's so many birds out there. Why did like 3 people say night heron all at once? Okay. So for this, if I'm feeling, should probably add, oh, new night heron ambassador. Oh, very cool. Okay, very cool. Then this will be great. We're gonna just kind of quickly, I'm all about recycling, but with palettes, sometimes I'll actually clean them if I'm not like making something particularly green, which you can tell last time we were doing quite a bit of green. This time we're not. Actually, the last time I was using that palette was for this book right here, and it was just, you can just, like, the amount of green in there is wild. So okay, for this heron, we're going to start with light stuff, and then we're going to work away darker and darker and darker. That's just how watercolors usually work, is it kind of gives you a bit of, well, you'll see. It's going to be great. Tee up, paint down. So I'm going to start with this kind of like yellowy to gray kind of exterior. So a little bit of yellow in here, really kind of water it down. But we're just going to start right in here, just a little bit over to the side. And I can be kind of as messy as I want, because I'm going to make a lot of this, the background, I'm going to make it way dark. So, oh yeah, sorry, and I'm not drinking, this is for drinking, this is for paint. I don't say that for you, I say that for me, because the amount of times I've dipped my brush in my tea, or the amount of time it's almost drunk the paint water, once I put it in my mouth, it's concerning. So I try to keep them apart, like one hand for the left hand, one hand for the right, but as dyslexic, that's the most exciting game I play most days, is like tea or poison. So I can kind of be as loose as I want. Like I can go over the edge here if I need. It's fine. All of this is going to be dark because it is a night heron, not a day heron. A little bit down here. We're adding a little bit over to the side. And then we're going to get kind of into the grays. There's a lot of different ways you can make it gray. For instance, you could just make black, or you could kind of lighten that up. What I'm going to do right here is I'm going to mix a little bit of blue right here. Just kind of get in there. Didn't activate. Activating is when you kind of get everything wet first, and kind of makes the watercolor easier to pick up, kind of undries it a little bit. And as a painter of herons right now, we probably should be doing some wet stuff. Okay, adding a little bit of some blue, and then I'll add like a little bit of kind of dark brown to that. And then when you mix these together, you get kind of a lovely gray that can be either as warm or as cool as you want it. So here's that lovely gray. You can kind of see it's coming through. So we're going to kind of add our lovely gray down here, right over to the edge of our night heron. His good wings. Now, if stuff kind of moves and bleeds at this point, that is fine. We're not doing anything too dark yet, so we have some room to play with, which will be nice. There we are. Okay. Special cup for rinsing brushes. I think I do too, but for some reason, like when my brain is in the painting mode, nothing is safe. All things that are vaguely cup-shaped and or could hold water could be tea, or they could be paintbrush, like mixing in my mind. So there's no differentiating for some weird reason. Okay, so down here we're gonna now work on our water. I will probably put some blue, although water isn't always blue, it's often a reflection of whatever is above it. So I'm not gonna do all of the water. I'm mostly gonna do parts of where the reflection are. A little bit in here, a little bit over there. And we're just gonna kind of work through a lot of it, especially once we get right here and we can kind of add in some other colors that could be bleeding through. With watercolor, the trick is not is to do not very much, really. It's one of these mediums where like restraint is kind of what it's all about, which is terrible because I'm not very good at it, and I often say that the first half of a painting is to make it, and the second half is to ruin it. I'm really good at the second half. Oh my gosh, I can ruin a painting like you wouldn't believe. So we're just gonna try to kind of add in some purples, maybe a little bit of brown or something like that. There we go, and then maybe we'll come in with some of that blue. I am gonna make that dark up there, so you will see, but I wanted to get just a little bit of lightness in there first. There we go. Nice little night heron, and now let's add a little bit of yellow or something for these bushes that we'll put it next to. I'm adding those in right now because I kind of want them to bleed and move and kind of add a little bit. This is one of my favorite parts of it because you can kind of be as loosey-goosey as you want, especially with kind of the background elements. When it comes to like the face and the beak and the nose, like all of the nose, what am I saying? When it comes to like the stuff that you could mess up, all of a sudden it gets a little bit more high stakes. But I feel like when it comes to, you know, the ground or the water or the sky, that's when you kind of have some fun. So it's fun to add those in the beginning too, because it kind of lets you loosen up just a little bit. And a little bit of that yellow in here. Maybe we'll touch up with a bit more purple. And I'm going nice and bright. I always feel like whenever I see birds, the world feels more colorful. So we're just gonna light into that. Put lots of color into this, right to the edge. And by kind of adding that fun border that we have, it gives us a bit of structure. That's gonna go right there. Super fun. Okay, so we have a little bit there, a little bit here. I'm just gonna kind of feel how we're doing for wetness. That's still pretty wet, so I'm not gonna mess too much with that right now. And in fact, I think what I am gonna do, I'm gonna consider here. How wet is that? Wet enough. You can always use a little bit of paper towel or tissue paper or toilet paper, and you can always kind of make sure something is dry if you don't want it to kind of bleed in and scoot all over. So that's what I'm gonna be doing right here. It's just kind of hedging my bet. And let's add just a little bit of what's going on up here. Like I said, we're going to do the light stuff and then work our way darker and darker and darker. So this kind of little bit of sort of straw grass right next to our nice little bit of water is something I'm going to add in right now. And I'm actually going to kind of make it go down. Probably should put some green in here too. Gonna make it go down just a little bit. Do I want green? Nah, we don't need green. I'm gonna go down, maybe use a little bit of purple, and kind of create this illusion of depth. And by that I mean we're just gonna add some more color. Okay, a little bit of that in here, and we'll use water to fill in the rest. There we go. Ta-da! So it's nice, loose, kind of gives a loose sense of bird. And now we can kind of work on the rest. What I'm going to do is I have a little heater thing. I'm going to toss this down here just to kind of dry it off. It'll take about 5 or 6 seconds to really kind of do much of anything, but then it really dries off pretty quick. But the real question is kind of what sort of landscape are we going to put our bird in? Let's see. Let me just... Oh, speaking of fun things, turns. I haven't colored this in. We're considering like all kinds of really fun ways to be able to send people things or like do paint nights. We did a really fun pica paint night, which I can go show you. Hold on, let me. A little bit of show and tell here. We did a little really fun pica paint night earlier where, let's see, here is that. Where's my pica? There we go. Did this really fun pica paint night earlier where we kind of sketched a bunch of like a full nature study sketch. I still need to kind of put the writings in here, but we were thinking that's just a really fun thing to do and trying to do something like that maybe even once every month once things calm down a little bit. But I've been doing some little test sketches. Don't tell anybody, especially not Jen. I don't know if Jen is watching, but that's the producer of Trailbound, and she always thinks I overextend myself, mostly because I overextend myself. But did some really fun little kind of test sketches of like the tern, which is such a cool bird. Oh my gosh, we have them here in Alaska because, well, like they have them here and there, but like this bird is potentially a bird that spends the most time in sun of any creature. Like, what a crazy record to have, because when it's super sunny, they're up here, and then when it gets vaguely dark, they're like, nope, and then they zip over here where it's like, virtually sunny all the time. So Arctic terns, not only do they fly a ton, but like they just soak up the sun more than like almost any other bird. But also like even if a fish or like no animal could travel as fast as they do. So like in history, like of the world potentially, this bird, although maybe like an insect could pull that off, maybe, but like this bird potentially gets more sunlight than any other animal, which is just the coolest thing. But yeah, tons and tons and tons of stuff that we could do on that kind of sketching. But we're just kind of figuring it out, and the dream is to be able to kind of help people get into sketching because it's such a cool way to see the world. And also, my grandmother left behind all these incredible sketches. She's the one who introduced me to watercolor in the first place, and my dream is to kind of follow her footsteps and make uh, repeat the same sketches in the same place with the same materials as she did. I'll show you some examples of that here in just a second. We'll get our night heron just a little bit more done. Okay, so we have, and you can kind of see these fun little blooms, and all this kind of like, by going loosey-goosey, you get some really cool kind of looks and effects. So now that we have kind of the background and it's nice and dry, now I'm going to add the background as that's kind of what is going to kind of give our bird some highlight. And this is so dark, so the background is going to be the next darkest thing. We're going to add some dusk. It's not going to be a night heron necessarily. I think we're doing a dusk heron, but I am actually, while I'm waiting on it, I'm going to put his eyeballs in. Specifically, just a little tiny touch of red right here. Ooh, that is scary red. Let's add a bit of purple to that. Let's calm that down just a little bit. There we go, something like that. Oof. Devil bird. Okay, let me just, how am I doing? How am I doing on the shade? You've all seen a night heron much more recently than I have, but I think I can always add more color around or in, but I think that's kind of what we're rocking with. I'm just doing that now so it gets a chance to dry. Now the background here, I'm going to do kind of dusk. I'm actually going to add some water just right on top, just to kind of give a little bit of some kind of randomness. We're going to kind of blur it out here a little bit. So I'll probably start with some blue maybe. We got some dark blue. Maybe I'll put in some greens. Yeah, there we go. There's our greens. Nice kind of dark dusky colors here. So some greens. And then maybe even a little bit of some purples. And then maybe we'll rock our way up into a little bit of something else. There we go. Okay, just a touch of that. Maybe add a bit more blue in here. And where the contrast is, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm not too dark or too light. So here's a little stick of grass sticking up, so I'll have to be really careful to kind of carve around that, if you can see. Watercolors are funny because they're not going to look really good until the very end. Like oil painters, they can start with a hand and kind of make it perfect and then just keep on kind of painting until that perfect hand has a perfect arm and then the perfect arm has a perfect elbow. Watercolors are weird because it all kind of looks bad until it all looks really good. So this is kind of the start of that process here. So we're gonna kind of begin that like where are we going here mode. There we go. Love that. Okay, maybe a little bit of green up here. We already added that water, so we got a bit of room that's gonna kind of play with, which is great. But now let's add some blues. A little bit of blue right here. Just adding a touch in, and then we'll scoot around right there. Let the water do the work. It's called watercolor. The water is such a big role in this, as it is in everything. If you think about it, like gold and minerals, those are all great, but when it really comes down to it, water is like one of the most valuable things we have. And on a fun kind of note, most of the wetlands, or at least water that we have in the US in particular, has been protected because of a love of birds. Sometimes a love of shooting birds, which, the duck hunters, they have their, I haven't been, so I don't know if I can judge. But to their credit, like a huge amount of wetlands have been protected by the love of duck hunting, which I'm sure benefited birds like this amazing one. But I do wonder if in the future wetland protections and the people who are willing to do the work and pay the cost of protecting these places are the birders, which then kind of help all of us out in the long run. Okay, a little bit of some green kind of coming down. And be nice and light here because their backs are so dark, so I kind of want that contrast. There we go. So something kind of like that. Maybe I'll add a touch of blue, just a little bit there. And I can kind of cut through here if I want to. There's no shame because it's gonna be dark. Just a little bit of blue, maybe even a touch more of that dark blue, just for fun. And just like that, there we go. Ta-da! Okay. All right, there it is. There is the start of our heron. And like I said, it's going to look way bad before it gets any better. Going to consciously drink some tea and not paint water. It's a struggle on a normal day, but like when my brain is firing at, 1/10 capacity, it's even more exciting. Ooh. Okay, and now I'm going to toss this back just to dry it off a little bit because then we can kind of start our next steps. But I am super excited to be able to do some more of this. And let me show you, while that's drying, let me show you something really cool. So my grandmother, stubbed my toe real good. My grandmother left behind like all these sketches from all over the world. So here's one of her books. This one's from, where's this book from? This is one of about 100. And she's the one who inspired me to sketch, and she traveled all over the world and made these amazing little field sketches. She was actually like a fancy quilter, but she was an amazing watercolorist. But this was her like sort of mess around book of just get ideas down. And she would make all these amazing sketches. Here's a trip to, looks like Australia. And so she'd like do all these wild sketches from life. Looks like the Sydney Aquarium, platypus is here. Ooh, and here we have a, what are these? Oh, she didn't write it down. Some kind of crane. That's pretty cool. But she'd make all these very, very, very cool little sketches. And some of them only line up in one place. Oh, interesting, a fairy penguin. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. But some of these only line up in one place. So for instance, like this coast right here, if you go 100 feet to the left, these like are no longer stacked in the same way. Like you might not, this might be gone, maybe kind of behind this one now, or this one might be over here, or this lighthouse might now be directly perpendicular. So there's only one place that this lines up, and I can find out where she was because when all of this does line up, then I'm exactly where she was. So for instance, like let's see, what's a good example? Oh my gosh, I just love these, like it's like seeing into somebody's brain, let's see, that's New Zealand. Oh my gosh, these are some cool ones. But like, what is this from too? This is 1999. Oh, kookaburra. Look at that. That is in the kingfisher family, believe it or not. We learned all about this. Oh, we got some emus, I think. Yeah, it'd be emus, right? Oh, and what's this thing? ibis. Oh, very cool. So things like, let's see, where's a good example here? So a sketch like, well, this is kind of so a sketch like this would only line up in one place, even with how the branch was. She was so accurate that like these branches, you'd have to go exactly where she was. This is a little different. This is from Lahaina, so this is the place that had the huge fire, but I believe the tree is still there, even though the bench might not be. But it's my goal to then find out where she was and make the same sketch in the same place with the same materials, to kind of get a chance to reconnect with her. But there's so many cool places and so many cool birds too that she sketched. I'm really, really, really excited to hopefully retrace her steps to, you know, where is this? This is in Utah, I believe. Yeah, Spring Creek Canyon in Utah, or just like Australia, all these places. But it's a bit of a wild scavenger hunt that will likely take me the rest of my life. We have found so far, what is it? We found 11, but there's over 6,000 sketches. So there's more than a couple to track down, which will be exciting. Okay, back to the bird. You look fully dry. Lovely. Okay, now is going to be kind of the moment. Like I did say, they look terrible until they all kind of come together, but there's kind of that moment where they might not come together. So we're gonna give this one a go. We're gonna start with a little bit of some detail on those feathers of that wing. Let's bring that together just a little bit here. Adding a little bit of some, let's see, we'll just kind of put some feathers in like this. Maybe we'll add a touch up over here. Maybe a couple more feathers. Less is so more in this kind of situation. You don't need to add every single feather. You kind of just want to add just exactly what you need to kind of bring it to life, and nothing more. Might add just a little bit underneath. Something like this. There we are. And then once we have some of that, I mean, it's almost time, I think, to add this whole section in, which is sort of the, that's right, the idea of feathers. Now we're going to add in some of the bottom here, and I'm going to use maybe some moon glow or something like that, maybe add a bit of blue, but we're going to add in the top. And the reason I could be kind of so messy with that is because when I come in with this, it's going to be darker than that layer. So it'll kind of cover it right up. Now kind of the concentration comes. The first half of the painting is kind of be loosey-goosey and have some fun, and the second half is actually a bit more precise. A little bit indigo, a little bit more moon glow. I'm adding a fair deal of water because it will dry lighter, and I don't want this to be pure black. I want the top to have some little bit of grayness in there, just so I can keep on adding layers if I want to. Kind of gives me the ability for a bit more texture, which is nice. So I can keep on adding feathers, I can keep on adding some of these other things. It looks like a bald bird here. Now let's add just a little bit of, there we go. Let's add just a little bit around the head. I'll zoom in too so you get the full effect. A little bit around the head. This eye in particular should come to life with a little bit of blackness around it. That is going to be absolutely key for kind of the shape. Here we go, a little bit of that. And then we're right into the beak. And the brush I'm using isn't like too, you know, you can kind of see, it's a pretty big brush, but depending on what kind of brush you use, a lot of them have this really lovely point. So all you need to like do is just make sure that that brush has enough of a point that you can kind of do these really delicate lines. So when you're out in the field, it means that you can really kind of do a whole lot with basically just one brush, which is great. And I'm going to circle the eye right here just so we can kind of get a little bit of definition. That's why I put that red in there first, is just to kind of add that, and we couldn't have put that in afterward necessarily. Gives a bit of that mascara, but it's good. It's a good thing to do. I feel like I give it too much of a breast, which could be fine. Or if I want to do something crazy, I might be able to kind of carve that out. Not to get too Thanksgiving-y on this bird, but I might be able to carve it out by just doing a little bit of some green. So something kind of like this. Let's see how this goes. Hold your breath for me. If I go a little bit like this, I might be able to. There we go. So we're going to kind of do something like this, and then in and over. And now my job is just kind of to blend the rest of this together. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of this, scoot down. I might even add a bit more blue or something like that in there, just to kind of bring that in. There we go. Just so we don't have too much of a. Don't know if I love that. That's okay. This is, like I said, the second half is to ruin the painting, and that is where I excel. I think there's still, I think we're still in good shape. Let me see what I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this over to the side. And there we have it. Yeah. Now I'm gonna add some feathers down here with that white gel pen in just a moment. I think we're making some moves. Now down here in the ripples even, we are gonna have a bit of reflection, so I'm gonna use some of that black that I've already grabbed, and I'm just gonna kind of stick a little bit in here, and we're gonna just kind of on the other side of the ripples, we're just gonna kind of add a little bit of some of these. It's just kind of like the idea of a shadow, but you will find it in ripples, so we're just gonna put that there now. Something kind of like this. Doesn't that kind of, I feel like that just really brings, everything home in a pretty cool way for some reason. There we go. Just enough. Kind of do what we need. Obviously still missing some legs, and we're going to add those in just 1 second. But first, let's kind of dry it fully off, and then we'll see how the little trim job on the shape did before I add those last feathers. You think I've got it? I appreciate that. We'll see. Very hard to know with so many of these sketches, but it's fun to try. I think that's sort of what counts. I'm trying to think. Let's see. I can show you. This is no, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Where did I put that one sketchbook? There's a lot of sketchbooks kind of floating around right now. I'd pan the camera up, but the disheveledness of my studio would horrify some of you, I think. Here we go. This is it. So this is this it? Matanuska. Yeah. So this is here are some sketches from the here are the sketches from trying to find one of her sketches in this place called Matanuska. And you can kind of see it was quite a journey, but on the way to finding these, you see so many cool things. Like for instance, here's so many of the birds that I learned that lay eggs up in Alaska. So like these are all migratory birds, which is so cool that it's like without kind of some of these Alaskan landscapes, you wouldn't have like sandhill cranes in a lot of ways. Even though they do spend so much time in the Midwest, like a lot of them end up here in Alaska, or the North, tundra swans, common golden eyes, Bohemian waxwings, Pacific loons, pectoral sandpipers, Rufus hummingbirds. That's a wild one to me. The hummingbirds migrate up here, like absolutely bonkers, and then just like all of these landscapes and rivers and places. We actually made a film about this that I can send, or if Jen, if you're on, if you want to put a link in the chat. But this glacier, she sketched 40 years ago, and so finding where she was a really interesting challenge. And so that is the whole process of this film. So this is what I was looking for right here, and not to like ruin it here. The film is good. Jen will post it. Thank you, Jen. But like the film, worth watching. It's 10 minutes long. You can see the whole process of what it took to find. But so here's what she sketched. So here's her journey up Alaska. And I don't know if it's this year or maybe next year, but I'm half tempted just to like drop everything in life and just like chase these down. Like do you ever have that feeling of like maybe I should just be like seeing what I can find? And like, well, how do I put this? It's like this crazy thing. Like who has it grandmother who traveled all over the place, left all these sketches, and like this is so not the easy thing to do, but part of me feels like I just need to take a leap and just go for it and see how many of these I can find. Um, because there's just so many. But for now, we're gonna do smart things and all of that. Let me hold on. Why am I getting a million billion messages here? I am going to put that on. Okay. So, but like these really really wild spots will only line up in one place. So I figured that out by finding this one. Where is it here? Not there, not there, not there. I love how she's just like saucy seagull begging for big bits of, for bits of food. There we go. Okay, so this looked familiar because I had seen Matanuska before, but to actually find out where she stood was wild because the glacier itself had changed so much, but the mountains hadn't. So the mountains were actually my real key. These had all kind of melted. So all this was on glacier, kind of permafrost, and all ended up melting. So in 40 years, it went and made a pretty huge change. But check out these two. So this is 40 years ago, and then I made the same sketch, and then I was able to color it in like a coloring book. She basically left me a wild coloring book, but like it's kind of wild. So these are the same scale for the most part, and you can kind of see like the glacier hadn't changed too much of where it had been, but it has shrunk like up to 400 feet, I believe, in some places. It's kind of flattened down, but it's kind of wild. You can see where she has little footprints of people walking on the ice over here, and then you can even see a little kind of little sparse bits of trees, but now there's like a giant bridge that has to go over this lake that people walk along. But it's a really cool opportunity just to kind of like, I mean, the journey of like trying to find these places has been so cool, because it's not just what I can find or if I can find it or not. It's really just like reconnecting, like the excuse to reconnect with these places and bring a sketchbook and just like try to capture a little bit of on a piece of paper has been so cool. So that's that's the journey that, and if you see the film, which is 10 minutes long, that's the journey that this single sheet of paper took me on. And there's like 100 of these books, and each book has about 100 pages, which is a lot. So but even though the big ones are so cool, occasionally there'll just be like a little tiny sketch that just absolutely melts my heart. Here's where she went to Katmai, saw some big bears, tried to get some initial sketches, but there's one, like this, look at this. The birders among us will appreciate this. Like, Merganser mom, 3 babies on something. Eventually, all 3 were riding on her back. It's just like little moments like that where it's not a photograph. A photograph is cool, but a photograph captures everything. It captures the mergansers and the grass and it all evenly. But what I love about painting so much is like everything is a decision. Like you do it on purpose. So every single line here was like a decision based on what my grandmother was seeing. And it's kind of like you get this window into their mind a little bit. But I love the big sketches, but little ones like this are just so cool. Or just like this, right? It's just like, oh yeah, some rocks. That's my dream. Just to fill up sketchbooks with good adventures. Okay, I think our night heron is almost dry here, so I'll grab that in 1 second. Such a cool thing. I was gonna ask if any of the spots have changed basically. Yeah, well, and some of them have like there's other films too. There's one that's touring in Banff right now, so if you get a chance, the Banff Mountain Film Festival has one about trying to find a glacier in France, and that was a roller coaster. But I don't think we can share it yet, so I won't spoil too much. Let's see. Ultimately, it would be fabulous to figure out how to have an exhibition of their work alongside each other. Oh yeah, that would be super cool. Right? Yeah, to show both that's a great idea. I think that'd be awesome. Loving the sketches. Company while tidying my office. Good. Get that office clean, and then fill it with sketchbooks. Okay, night heron. Let's do this. So, we have our bird, and now that I look at it from the top, I think our shape is perfect. This is feeling good. I don't feel like it's too plump in the chest anymore. Probably could have phrased that better. But we are going to now add the final little tiny pieces, which are going to be the legs and the little the little kind of fancy feathers, these little extra bits. They have orange legs. So we're going to be doing this, a little bit of this. Now, depending on how distracting you really want to make my day, we will then paint the landscape that it is in, but that is kind of up to us. Okay, we get some nice orange legs. Very nice orange legs right there. Not doing the feet today. Not feeling like it. And then really it's just kind of up to us if we want to put a little bit of like shadow or shading just to kind of break things up. We could always add just a little bit of that here. Oh, hold on, the wife. Hello, Eve. Hello. Sorry, I'm doing a live right now, just so you know.
Oh, I'm just letting you know that we are off. We're going to Kincaid. They're doing
Brave.
a bunker bike thing for little kids
Amazing. That sounds great.
in the waxing bunker. And the waxing bunker is the one right by the chalet, right?
Yep, right back to the chalet.
All right.
Okay, have
Let's see how
fun.
it goes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Take pictures,
Bye.
please. Bye. Love you. Kincaid is a former missile site here in Anchorage. So I live here in Anchorage, Alaska. It's a former missile site, and it has like all these bunkers and just But then they deactivated it, and now it's used for like these bunkers that house missiles to during the Cold War are now used for like ski equipment, and they have ski trails all over the place, and so you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna meet in bunker number 2, which is where like the workout is gonna be. But the place is gorgeous. It's in a really cool area. Okay, so now we're gonna add some little bits of feathers here and there just to kind of give some texture. I put a little bit of some of that. So for texture, there's a couple different ways you can do it. There's different pens. I'm gonna use probably this gel pen right now just for expediency. This is a Uniball Signo rod, and we're going to be putting just a couple little feathers here, probably some down here, just for fun. So we're just adding a little bit of texture. You can also do this by just not painting anything, or maybe you're just more accurate or use mask or any of those things. Gel pens are totally fair game. Much easier, a lot simpler. We're just gonna add a couple down here, and let's add. They have feathers. Let me look up where their feathers are here. Night heron. They have like 2 feathers up here, I believe. Right? Let me see if I can spot one. Yeah. So they've got 2 feathers. Yeah, and they would be. They'd be kind of draped down. They could be draped down. They could kind of be going like this. How do we want to do this? Sorry, not feathers. 2 occipital plumes. Those. They have 2 of those. So we want to kind of make them go up or down. I think we'll make them go. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll kind of make them go down over the back here. We'll just do one, sort of maybe going down over the side. And then maybe one going kind of back just a little bit like this. There we go. Happy bird. Some sexy feathers. Those look pretty cool. And there we have it. I think this has really turned out quite good. I really like the look of this bird. I am going to put just a tiny bit of black right in the middle for that iris. Just a little bit. They do have red eyes, but they also have black in the center. So let's add that pupil. The iris of that pupil just kind of looks a bit crazy. So we're going to do just a little bit right there. There we go, that's plenty. And then anything that needs like a little bit more, we'll have that kind of dark on our brush. Maybe we put a little bit in here, a little bit over here, something like this. A little bit in the legs. Anything that needs that kind of like, there we go. So something kind of like that. Cool. Okay. Well, there we have a really sweet night heron. Great choice. Should we do the landscape? I can get back to work, or we can do the landscape that it lives in. I kind of feel like we should probably do the landscape that it lives in, just to be like, you know, give it a home. Here, now this, break this book just a little bit. Now this would then go live right in here. So I'm just going to stick that like that. There we go. I should probably use some better tape. We'll stick this in here in just 1 second. Put that right there while we're waiting. And then we can do the landscape. I am easily swayable. Oh, the film is on the world tour for 2 years. Ah, I see. Okay. All right. That we'll hold off on that one film. Yes, the landscape. Okay. Apron on is saying it. So who am I? Who am I to disagree? Landscape vote. Great. Oh, I wonder if I can do like polls or something like that. Is there like an R poll or something? I should learn all these. I should learn all these techniques. Or a slash poll. Okay, so we're gonna put this little bird, this quite large bird, right here. What kind of landscape would they live in? I saw something about like they'd be in kind of big sort of like they're all over the world. Landscape? Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let's do it. Okay, these right here are called bullnose clips, I believe, or binder clips. These are great. Just gonna stick a couple right here. Here's one. Do another. Here is number 2. Okay. And let's add a bit of a landscape here. All right, we have our heron, and now what kind of a landscape are we thinking? I could look one up or just fully make it up as well. Should we do that? Sometimes I'll look these up. Let's see. Let's just oops. Let's make sure that I'm in the right place. Whoa, what am I doing here? Sorry. Nope, not what I want. Okay, let's see if I am in fact in the right place. In nighttime? Yeah, I guess how do we do that? So yeah, I could picture that. We could kind of put a nighttime landscape, maybe some trees, a bit of a pond, some wetlands. Dusk, nighttime landscape. I struggle with painting the dark. Okay, let's do it. So the trick with painting the dark is to put contrast. So you can paint the dark, but kind of paint a nice light landscape. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a box. I feel like that often helps me. So we're going to have a little bit of this in here. And if you are new, I'm not sure if our raiders are still hanging around, but if you're new, we have a really fun Discord channel that we often share really fun things and challenges at. We have a really fun challenge going on right now. We do kind of monthly prompts, and Etcher, the sketchbook company, has given us a really cool accordion notebook to give away. So every time you do one of the prompts, it basically enters you into a really fun prize pool. So there's however many days there are this month, chances. And it's just a good way to kind of like, if you're looking for something to kind of bust the rust at the beginning of the day, or just make a little sketch, or you're not quite sure what to do, it's kind of a fun way to add some of those. And this one is getting pretty springy. So, okay, so dusky kind of nighttime landscapes. We're going to paint one. And I think I'm just going to go from my imagination a little bit, but the fact that these birds are so widespread and all over the place, we're going to kind of try to paint, you know, not just like the one area they'd be, but sort of like the idea of the area they'd be. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, so that's gonna be probably we'll leave. Let's see. We'll kind of add sort of a wetland feel. So some of kind of the we'll put these huge little areas of sort of pond. There we go. So kind of some of this wetland, and then we're gonna kind of work our way back, or maybe we're gonna see some hills that kind of then maybe a river or something that kind of flows slowly, lazily this way. Because we are going to kind of try to put this into a night landscape for you. Those can be kind of tough, but yeah, it's the Discord is the invite is in our newsletter. So if you want to join along, it is super fun, and we just have the coolest community. It's so fun. I get inspiration on a daily basis. Okay, so we kind of have a bit of something like this, maybe. How's this looking? And then we'll put maybe some trees or something like that, kind of coming up over the edges of these. Let's see. I'm doing this from imagination, so I do not quite know where I'm going with this. But we'll put our bird. Got to put the bird in somewhere, probably here-ish. Oh, I don't know if I love this. And that's why they invented erasers. I can do this. Okay, here we go. So this is the beauty of doing things live, is like you can't pretend like you can't pretend like it's perfect, which I think is so key. Is like there's so much that goes wrong on like a daily basis, and whenever we post about it on social media, we like post the end result and pretend like we did it on purpose, whereas in actuality so much of this is just by accident, or yeah, it just does not go right. Okay, we're gonna paint. We'll just move this around. Okay, we're gonna add a landscape. Here we go. We're gonna paint in. We're gonna kind of focus on the wetlands. So here we go. We got these little tufts of kind of area. They're gonna kind of scoot their way back, maybe more and more, until eventually you have all these little areas. Then the trees come in, small at first, and then bigger and bigger copses. And then eventually you have kind of some maybe little hills in the background. There we go. That feels good. And then we're gonna stick our little bird, a big bird, right. Probably like right here in the center. Maybe kind of give it a, should I make it kind of long or something? I want to make it stepping. I always like when they step. What would these things look like when they step? They're kind of like pull their legs in a little bit like this, right? Yeah, there we go. We'll make this one stepping. And little bird goes back here. Night heron all the way, scooting over, pushing down to the edge. There we go. Okay. So here is the plan. Ta-da! Now I'm gonna move super fast on this one. So that's the goal, is gonna be kind of like a fast sketch, as if the night is coming and we don't have much time. So here we go. This is gonna be quick and hopefully lovely. But I often find that like moving too slow sometimes actually is a recipe for kind of artwork. It's like too safe. So I do find some of my favorite stuff is when I don't have very much time and I've got to move quick. So I'm going to kind of see if I can kind of artificially create that here. A little bit of this here, and we're just going to add this over here. We got all of this until eventually this right here would be water. A little bit of water maybe over here. And we're going to make this dusk. I'm going to kind of put a nighttime sky effect on this, which is going to be really leaning into the reflection and how kind of pink and yellow and yeah, as that kind of dusk sort of scoots around. There we go, a little bit of this here, and we're gonna put a couple flying birds somewhere in there, but once everything's kind of all dry. Oh, gotta paint in our bird. What is we thinking? Give you the really quick kind of look here. So we go a little bit into this bird here. Gotta get the beak, like I said, start with the hard part, and then going around those something feathers. And we're gonna have this bird is stepping to it, stepping up. I just love heron walking. Like, they're just so funny. Okay, and the eye is gonna be here, going around and over and down. There we go. Okay, so here's that bird. Now let's do this. I'm gonna pull a slightly larger brush, maybe. No, I don't need one. Okay, we're gonna use the same size brush, and here we go. Tiny bit more. That's okay. A lot of this, like, pencil lines don't actually make too much of a difference in a sketch, I find. What we're gonna start with though is gonna be the sky. So we're gonna add the sky in there. We'll probably put some interesting clouds or something like that going on, but I'm gonna kind of make one of these dusk skies, the ones that kind of go from red to, you know, darker colors kind of moving up. And then we're gonna reflect that down. So we're gonna start with maybe some red, something like this. Maybe a tiny bit of yellow in there too. Oh, that's a lot of yellow, okay. So we're gonna kind of start with some of that in here. And then we're gonna add a red. And this is gonna literally set the tone of, or at least the shade of everything. Things are gonna dry lighter and like more flat, so it's okay to be a little bit wild here with this initial part. And then let's add some purple way up in the top here. This is how I'm going to do dusk. Dusk is more than just like dark. I mean, like you obviously see less because it is often darker, but I do think that's how cameras capture it. But I feel like, at least with my eyes, there are all these other colors that are beautiful, but you can't really describe them with a photo. So I like to paint them instead, just like with a sketch. So here's a quick sketch. I'm going to actually use water to kind of pull down this color so it doesn't pool. I do kind of want it to move down just a little bit. There we go. So something kind of like that. So there's our sky right there. Oop. Just checking that no cats are getting into fights in my backyard. We are good. Fights averted. I do kind of want a cool effect, so I'm going to wait till it's a tiny bit drier, and then I'm going to add some stuff to it. But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of work my way down, and I'm not going to paint in all the stuff that the sky is going to be reflecting. So all this is going to be nice and light, and that's going to be the color that I bring in the dusk. That's how I'm going to do dusk in this case. Okay, and what am I doing here? Let's do a touch of yellow or something to see if it kind of pushes up. And then let's do maybe a touch of yellow over here. And then let's do a hint of purple. Or more than a hint of purple, maybe a bit of purple and a bit of blue. I'm just going to add a bit over here. And I'm going to add kind of a big swath and then just let it loose. Just see what it does. Might regret this. Yep, I regret this. Okay. Let's just see. Water. Sometimes you gotta trust the water and just see what happens. This is one of those cases. A little bit of purple up top. Oh boy, sorry. Here comes the fussing. This is what I call faffing. It's like a mountaineering term for like, or probably just like a term for anything, but like mountaineers will often, not want to keep on going, so they'll mess and fuss with their gear. Kind of a procrastination technique. And watercolor works the same way. Aren't these colors kind of fun? Okay, good. We're gonna see how it goes. So here we go. It is a night heron, so I am gonna put a little bit of the night up there too. There's a bit of indigo I'm gonna toss up top, and I might, if it turns out well, just add a little star or two there, kind of like when you can almost see a bit of the night sky, even though there's like a bit of dusk going on below. So we'll try it. Nothing else we can do now. Okay, so something kind of like that. We'll give it a go. Now, it's time to repeat that down here. So we're going to start with these nice light colors. So we're going to start with a little bit of these yellows into my lakes. And they're going to be kind of these little ponds here. And I can be pretty liberal with those, as I just sort of like, there we go. That's plenty. The lighter the better in some cases. And we'll kind of carve those out in just a second. And now here is this. We're going to kind of move from yellow to some kind of lovely reds and oranges. So maybe we add a little bit in there, but mostly we're kind of painting in where we do see that reflection. Here we are. And work our way back and over. Thank you, whoever suggested night heron, for the derailment. This has been very fun. But I'm going to have so much to do after this. There we are. So we have a little bit of this, and then it does go more and more red, and then eventually it will get into the purples. But even a purple kind of reflection is still going to be lighter than how dark the weeds and rushes are going to be. Okay, so something kind of like this. Beautiful. Now we're going to move into our purples. And we'll probably add some, some darkness and shadows later, but right now we're just kind of trying to block out the color. There we are, and here we go. Bit of blue just to round it all out. Okay, so here are kind of our colors, and then this is all going to be dark. So we're kind of just adding just the lights, and then we'll add the dark stuff here in just 1 second. But this is sort of what we're going to initially start with. This is what's going to be interesting. It's kind of hard to know exactly how this is all going to kind of shape out because this is all still so wet. Even right here, it's kind of pooling a little bit. So I might just add a couple little bits of water, even just right here, just to kind of let it move a little bit more and maybe create some of those kind of fun shapes. But worst case scenario, add clouds. You can kind of fix up basically anything with a cloud or two. So I'm gonna let this dry really quick and just see if I can keep on working fast. Might even add some of my shadows here. A little bit right there, maybe a touch right there. Trying to get kind of some of those blocks of colors just now before we come in later. Okay, there's that. Okay, calling those good. Let's dry it off and then keep on moving. There we go. Great. Tea time. How are things going so far? Any questions? We're really excited too about sharing more in the form of like some of our trials with these things. And I'm hoping to actually maybe even get out this maybe even this Friday and try to paint with some other people. I was thinking that would be a really fun thing, is to take like just a book and then put a little table out with another set of watercolors and see about just like sitting on a trail and seeing if somebody will sit down and sketch and have a conversation. Because one of my favorite things about painting is when you are out there painting, people often they'll just sit and ask you questions, or just like, it's such a cool way to kind of strike up a conversation. So I was thinking that could be a really fun thing, is just to sit out with a sketch, but have another sketchbook too, and just live stream the process and see if someone will sit down and talk, and maybe entice them to stay for a minute by asking them what their favorite place is, or what's, like, if I was to fill that book with like the coolest places from people all around the world, like what would that place be? But I love more than anything how sketching really just lets you, it lets you say so much without having to say anything, or it lets you start a conversation without having to say anything. I just love that. Okay, so we have this. We have our bird. I should show you. Where did I put the rest of the birds? I feel like I painted a lot of birds recently, but I don't know where they were with the eggs. Are they up there? Let's see, that's Kendall. This one, just letting that dry there. This one is one of my favorites. Where'd it go here? So this is the trip from Kendall. And where'd it go? Oh, yes, this thing. Okay. This right here is like their kind of kingfisher. So I believe it's actually maybe even a common kingfisher. We have a banded, a striped. What do we have in Alaska? We have a kingfisher that looks more like a kookaburra. I made this one holding a Kendall mint cake. I think it was actually holding a fish. But I actually saw one of these kingfishers there, and it was the coolest thing. They're just so blue. It was really, really neat. This is fun. This is what happens when you paint in very, very, very cold conditions. You can see, look at this. That is just frozen watercolor, which is cool, the kind of the way that it dries. But I'm hoping to be able to travel more and do some more of those kind of sketches of especially the animals around. Just kind of, speaking of the excuse, just kind of sit and wait. Okay, let's go see how dry we are doing now. I think we're close. Yeah, close enough. So you'll see stuff is definitely a little bit lighter, a little bit more matte, but look at these cool textures we have from just a little bit of these. And we'll kind of spruce those up in just a second, but a good start. Now we're going to kind of start from the back and then move forward, because everything that is, we're kind of dark to light, or sorry, we go light to dark. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually, this is all going to be slightly lighter. So just seeing, yeah, it feels pretty dry. I'm going to add in my little bits of this field, my swamp. So a little bit of yellow to brown to purple. Kind of just filling this in. There we go. Here we go. We're going to kind of lay into the purples a little bit here. I'm not going to use too much in the way of green, because the green would be kind of a purplish in the dusk. So we're going to kind of lean heavily on the purples. And what I'm planning on doing is kind of carving around a lot of these shapes, which will represent kind of the lightness of those wetlands. So here we go. This is kind of the wetland parts. There we go, a couple of those. And we're just kind of go purple, and we're going to get a little bit darker as we kind of move forward. It's kind of just layer after layer after layer after layer. Same over here. And then the closer you get, the kind of bigger these mud puddles or like little kind of shiny reflective bits are going to become. So here we go, more into the purple. And then here we go, we're just getting closer and brighter and bigger. And you can start with purple and then add other colors, and they'll kind of connect more and more. Zoom in here so you can kind of see some of these come to life. So here we go. So this is that purple. There we go. Okay. And now maybe we get just a touch more blue as we kind of move forward. It's simple, but it does a good job, I find. Ta-da! There we are. And then maybe just a little bit here as we kind of get into those foregrounds. We'll just put a bit of this, let it kind of melt in. You can even add water too, just to kind of smooth stuff out. Even though like all of this is gonna be covered up, it does kind of a fun way to do it. And yeah, I do think this is turning out okay, isn't it? I feel like it's so hard to know with watercolors where it's like, ooh, how is this gonna turn out? Until the end. And it's such a good exercise in just like trusting the process or just like having fun. Because ultimately, if you don't really care if the painting turns out and you just have fun with the painting, sorry, how do I say that? It doesn't matter if the physical painting turns out so long as you have fun with the process of painting. And it's a bit of a trust exercise. And if you're willing to indulge, then some magic usually comes from it. Okay, lovely. So we got some of that there. Okay, now I need to start probably some of these and maybe my heron here and some of this kind of this little section here. So our heron, it is dusk, so nothing is going to be kind of pure white in this sketch right here. We're going to be doing a little bit of probably some light blue and some purples just to kind of get in there, but it will be lighter. This is, after all, a night heron. So we're just going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of this going in. And his red eye is going to be more or less an afterthought, but that's going to be fine. So there we go, kind of some light blues, but because we kind of highlighted the rest of it, that'll still work well. Oh, very fun. Now let's add a couple of those little ripples. Honestly, they probably barely make a ripple, but because I'm having it moving, we're just going to add a little bit of those here, and then most of those are just going to be in blue. A little bit of a side. So we're going to scoot this way, and now because we kind of did these light layers, we can be pretty accommodating. There we are. I'm sure they're going to be just egregiously offended the fact that I made it do like ripples. They're probably so stealthy they don't even make a single splash, but just so we can kind of spot it, we'll put some of those in there. There we are. Ooh, I like how these are looking. Okay, a little bit there. A lot of water just to kind of floof a lot of this out, but this, yeah, there we go. And then the further away we go, the more indistinct it becomes, the more water I'll add. Cool. Oh, I like that very much. That's a fun one. Now I'll use some of the same kind of color here, and I'm just going to add a couple little bits of just, you know, the reflection here of this kind of plant. Something kind of like that. Maybe I add a touch of something slightly darker toward the base. There we are. Perfect. And then all the rest of this is going to be much darker, so we'll kind of lean into some of that in just a second. Okay, so we still need a lot of this to kind of dry before it's totally ready, but this one is definitely turning out. I like where this is heading. This is the kind of sketch too where it's almost like if I had the gumption, I would just stop sort of while I'm ahead, but it's, I think we have to see this one through, and in order to do that, I'm gonna have to dry it here. So I'm gonna quickly just toss this down below. Let it dry. If you're ever in the desert, this happens almost instantly. I tried getting into watercolor, but have never gotten the hang of it. But, goddamn, this is making me want to try again. Absolutely. What's so fun about watercolor is the fact that it is so simple. Like, this is like a tiny little kit that we make occasionally. I hand fill all of them, but like, it doesn't take much, you know. It's like a tiny little kit, a brush, and then honestly, and this is the strange thing to say, I think the smaller a book you can get, the better. Like I love, you know, these bigger books. Like I love kind of being able to flip through and do a lot of things, but the hardest thing is to start something like this and the pressure of filling it all out all throughout the page and everything. And I think one of the best things that you can do if you get a chance is to actually kind of strip things down a little bit. And I would absolutely suggest like a tiny, maybe not, well, these are great. They're very expensive, but these are great. But even just like go small and just have fun with it. Doodle, because the more sketches you make, the better you'll get. And I think sometimes when we start with something huge, it takes hours to finish. So instead, start with something super small. This counts as a sketch. And this can't be fancy because it's so small. And then this counts as a sketch. So already this is like what? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Can't count anymore. But this is like 10 sketches, you know? And it took the amount of time that like one bigger sketch might have. So I really suggest if you wanted to start watercolor, if you've ever thought about it, go small. We actually make these little things. That's what these are. These are trail tiles, and they're these really fun little. It's just a watercolor. It's just a tin full of like pre-cut nice sheets of watercolor paper, so it doesn't feel quite as intimidating. And I absolutely suggest like yeah, try out something small. It's amazing how doing the little things actually make a big difference. And we have tons of tutorials and stuff. So like usually we kind of have little tutorials and things like that too on the Trailbound Sketches YouTube. We have all kinds of stuff on the website that you can find, but it's tough. It is tough too. Watercolor is hard, so I get it if you've tried and it hasn't quite worked out, but it is so fun too. These are my Trailbound trail tiles on camping this weekend. Oh, perfect, great. Yeah, they are wildly functional. And I like I just this is not to like make a prediction here, but like I think this where is it? This is like my new combination. Trail tiles and an accordion notebook for the small stuff and then for the super big stuff. And it's like, there we go. This is that basically covers me for the next year or two for like everything I'd want to sketch. Maybe the really big sheets of paper, and those are fun, but kind of site specific, you know. All right, back to our heron. Night heron. Okay, so just feeling it. Looks like we're pretty dry. Now let's add in these montañas. The mountains, I'm gonna do pretty simple. It's gonna be a little bit of, I don't know, maybe blue, and maybe I'll just do pure moon glow. I'm not quite sure yet. But the mountains, we're just gonna kind of add the edge to something like this. I was just feeling it to make sure that it's dry because I don't want them too misty or kind of scooting up into the sky for some reason. So we're gonna add just a little bit of the mountains like this, and then we're gonna kind of fade them into the hills. So a little bit there, and because I added that yellow, it does kind of color them in that light in a really nice way because I kind of bled that down. So then we're gonna kind of pull down these colors into the hills. Something kind of like that. You can always add more color if we need to kind of cover up anything up, or even just like add one side to the mountains. That's kind of a good way to give them a little bit of a kick. Is you just sort of paint some color into one side of them, like that. But mostly, I kind of want a nice little gradation as we get down closer to these trees, which are going to be much darker. Mountains are pretty far off in the background, so we'll let them be mysterious. Oops, too much blue. That's okay. Somebody cut me off. There we go. All right, there's our mountains. Check. Now let's see, what do I need to sketch next? I think those have to go, and then we're kind of working our way backwards, but there are some things that we can kind of work our way frontwards on, one of which is the heron. So we have our heron. It's doing the step. And we have that gray, but in this case that gray is going to be kind of a blue, I think, instead. So we'll kind of add our blue kind of around here, something like that. There we go. That should be just fine. Maybe a little bit of. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So there is just like, it's very, very simple tones. Like here, check this out. This is like, look how, this is really, 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 we don't need to be too fancy with this one. It's really just kind of like the basic idea here. And then we'll wait for this to dry, as with everything. And once that kind of goes, then we'll kind of work our way up and up and up and up. These we might be able to add in right now. Why don't we give that a shot? These are going to be kind of interesting because they are kind of, I mean, they're grass, but there are going to be a little bit more in the kind of a bit more into the dusky dark side. So we're going to probably try a lot of purple, but we might even add a base of yellow just to kind of give it a go. Let's see. I found when I got the Stillman and Burn 3x5 journal, it was the best move ever. Less intimidating. It is true. Little stuff makes a big difference. Like this is plenty of detail, you know. I think yeah. The smaller you go, the better it is. Really. Okay, a little bit of this. I'm gonna take a sneeze break really quick. Where am I? Oh, this is the worst. Let's see if I look into the light. Excuse me. Okay. Whoa. The worst thing is having to sneeze and not sneezing. Oh my gosh. That is like the 5th ring of hell, I think. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read Dante's Inferno, but I believe having to sneeze and not sneezing is just about as bad as it gets. Okay, so we're going to add some purples. And now, because we kind of put this bit of yellow in there, it kind of gives us a little bit of something to kind of move into. Maybe we'll even add a bit more, kind of working its way this way. Let's see, a little bit of that. I'm adding a lot of pigment because we do want it dark. And so that's kind of what's going to show that. Okay. Purple works really well when you connect it with, whatever you call it, when you connect it with other warm colors. That's what I love about purple is it's this connection from warm to cool. You know, purple can handle blue on one side and it can handle yellow on another. Whereas yellow and blue, you're going to get green and all kinds of other wild color combos. But purple is like, it's a great mediator, which I appreciate. We need more of those in the world. Keeps a level head. Okay, now here comes some blue on this side of the purple. Like I said, great mediator. And I'm just going to kind of slowly kind of work our way back. Working pretty careful to be kind of like pretty good on this size. Right there, over. And it's okay if I leave a little bit of some darkness on the edge. Maybe a bit of purple. Same right here. There we go. Oh, that's looking very fun. I like it. And this is, I'm going pretty dark here because the closer I get to my subject and like close to us, the darker stuff is gonna be. Okay, a little bit more purple over here. This is dusk after all. You're asking about how to sketch dusk. This is kind of how you do it. It's all about the contrast, but it's also about being bold and going dark. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. A little bit more purple, maybe up towards the top, maybe. Okay, yeah, something like that. Now, I'm gonna come in just like a touch of that blue, just to kind of make it highlighted. And all of this well sick. And we're just gonna add a little bit of this blue, just kind of coming in, moving through. There we go. Beautiful. It's working. Sometimes you just gotta compliment the paint a little bit. Just let it know it's doing a good job. There we are. Okay, leaning into that kind of wet on wet. And then let's get some nice blue down here as well. There we go. Okay. That's a good spot for our bird. And the bird itself, we're going to get our night heron nice and dark, like the back and those bits. So this will be one of the darker pieces. And so we're kind of just working our way over and forward. Okay, so now, let me zoom out a little bit here. You can kind of see we've got our mountains, which are still just a touch wet. And then we'll just have kind of hill, like a little side, little kind of encroaching bit. And then we have these little bits here. But piece by piece, it is going to kind of come to life here. It's like a 10 tissue day. Sorry, not 10. This is like 10 tissues per hour day. Okay, so next let's add some of this here. This is further away, so it's going to be a little bit lighter. And I did say earlier that I was going to try to go kind of as fast as possible. This is like the part of the painting where usually I slow down. Not on purpose. It's just like stuff is working, stuff isn't working. It's easy to slow down a little bit. And so I'm going to try to kind of keep the pressure up, because what happens is you can kind of get lost in the details, and then that's all you end up doing. So we're just going to add a little bit of this here, and there we are. I think that should be plenty. Maybe a bit of blue up top, but perfect. Ta-da! Okay, I say this and then I just don't stop, but I think if we, there we go, that should do just fine. And then maybe over here, let's see, who's wet? There we go. You are all dry, so we're in good shape. Over here, maybe I'll start with a little bit of the, maybe I'll start with a little bit of that red or something like that. In here, ooh, well, it'll be a reflection of the sunset maybe. A little bit of red. Right there, we'll kind of make a purple by accident when we mix this with some blue on the edge. And we'll just see how it goes. Here we are, a little bit moving up. It is dusk, it is night. You can almost hear the frogs or the little bits of splashing or kind of the animals. And I just love that moment, kind of before it's fully dark. It's a beautiful time. What's so fun in Alaska is you actually get quite a lot of this. I feel like on the East Coast this only lasts just kind of some fleeting minutes, but in Alaska, just with how the sun is, yeah, sure, you get a lot of darkness in the winter, but you get so much kind of golden hour in the summer, and just the lightness is ridiculous. Now that I'm looking at this one looks okay. I kind of want to change this up, so I'm actually going to add a bunch of purple, and I'm going to kind of scoot this in too. So I'm going to kind of pull this forward over here like this, and then I'm probably going to add some darker kind of strips and spikes going up. There we go, something like that feels good to me. Okay, and then same over here. That's a little too red for my liking. So we're just going to add a little bit of purple. You can tell, like, when the words when all of a sudden the silence happens and the words drop off, it's like the concentration is real, or my brain has just stopped working. Because I can no longer get oxygen to it because my nose is so stuffed up. So it could be one of either. In both cases, probably not too much of a sign for worry. There we go. Okay, so we got a little bit there, a little bit here, and very, very soon we're going to be adding the last little bits to our heron. Which actually, this is pretty dry, so maybe we add just a little bit of that right now. Okay, so for this heron, we're going to be adding just the kind of basics. With the beak and the eye and the head, it's going to be kind of a indigo, something slightly darker. We've done this before, so it shouldn't be too much of a wild thing, but it's always kind of nerve-wracking when you're painting in the subject. So here we go. I'm going to start with the beak. A little bit at the edge, and then I'm going to fill in the eye. I'm going to go around to the head. You're just kind of following the coloring book that you set out for yourself with your outline. But also the other thing is coloring books don't matter, and you can kind of paint in whatever you want, however you want it. So here we go, a little bit in here. And by just adding some of the simple layers, where we have kind of a light blue and then kind of a slightly medium blue, and then what this is, it is a darker one, we are able to bring that all to life. There we go. And we're going to add that last leg kind of a little bit more orangey, but only towards the end. There we go. Nice night heron. It is coming along. And then let's add in this part right here. Just grabbing with whatever's on the palette here. I got a bit of kind of some purples and blues, it looks like. So we're just going to add in a little bit of that here. And we're going to add our kind of back, nice back, kind of back trees. Oh, too dark. Got a little bit of some back trees over here. There we go. Look at that. Kind of just a hint. Dusk is all about like hints and shapes, and if you can use that, it's great. If you're somebody who likes to kind of like really outline stuff out, dusk can be a really tough time to sketch. If you're okay with sort of like the leaving sort of the half mistakes or the little things that are almost something but not quite, then it's actually really works to your advantage. There we go. So something kind of like this. Then of course we'll have this, and then a couple more of those, and then we're in great shape. Woo! It's coming along. This I am really excited about. You never quite know how landscape going from nothing is. So I'm gonna dry this off. I'm gonna see how it goes, and then jump right back in. Probably could just get a hair dryer, couldn't I? But it's kind of fun to have filled out one of these. The idea is eventually to get all of them painted in. But it's just so... Actually, I gotta show you this. This one turned out so fun. I just love like a little, just a pretty rough, but still just a little diagram of the of the beaver. Their lodges are so cool. I should probably actually extend that out a little bit to make it a bit more shore-esque, shouldn't I? But I just like, there's something about this for me that just like, it just works, you know, where it's like, I'm sure there's like fancy diagrams, like AI can do stuff in just like the blink of an eye, but there's something that's just like a sketched out something. Just, it makes so much more sense to me than the most perfect photorealistic document ever. Or even like with my grandma's stuff. Like what I love about these so much is just how rough they are. Like this is, you know, she would do fancy watercolors later on, but like this barn is just, it's so quick, it's so rough, but then all together it gives this really good sense of kind of what she was looking at, which makes me so excited to be able to track some of these down, because when you are actually able to see the place, you see what caught her eye. So like Inside Passage and Sketchcan, obviously these trees had a big impact, and then those mountains in particular were particularly like interesting. These are a lot of Alaskan ones, so I'm really excited to hopefully find these. And actually, you want to see something really cool? This right here, I was showing to some pretty wild explorers in Alaska who do pretty cool stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm like looking for all of her sketches, and they said, oh, I know where that is, and they showed me, and it is, where's my phone? It is so cool. So okay, so this right here is let me see if I can find it. Jeff. It is, yeah, what I love so much is it doesn't take much to like get a big idea. Okay, so here we go. So this is the video that he sent. Okay, take a look at that. Well, let's see, is it any better? Okay, so here's the video. And take a look. See? So that right there, you can tell that spire is there. This right here, the way that this sort of ground cuts that off, you can even see there's kind of the big swoop right there. Whoop, whoop, swoop, swoop. And it kind of comes down, and you have those little bits working up into a little side bit, and that going up. So he's able to recognize that sketch. So this is somewhere along the Brooks Range, but it's just, I mean, this whole book can you imagine kind of where like, oh, it's gonna be so cool. So that's what I'm kind of wrestling with a little bit right now, is sort of like, I need to find several more lifetimes to be able to like track down and sketch all of this stuff. And they just don't sell lifetimes in Costco. Although if they did, I'm sure it'd be a multi-pack, and then that would be great. Okay, isn't that so cool? All right, so we are hoping stuff is a little bit more dry. Let's give it a try. I think this might be the last little bit here. That's dry now. Great, that's dry. Our bird is almost dry. Okay, let's just add a couple more. Right now, we're gonna add a couple, just a couple more. Ooh, it's too dark. Just a couple more little sections here. Here's kind of some trees. I'm gonna pull those down. Just gotta make whatever it is slightly darker where it crosses the landscape before it. That's all that really counts. Here we are. A little bit on this section here, where it kind of touches the plains or the swampland, and then a bit of water in between. Ta-da! There we go. Beautiful. Piece by piece. Now let's do this one right here. And these like little kind of dark sections are going to kind of mimic our night heron, which will kind of give it a bit of camouflage and also a connection throughout the painting. It's also why I like to use just a few colors. You know, you can have every single brushstroke be a different color with some of these palettes, but it all does kind of mimic itself in the, you know, the trees are the same color as birds, or birds are probably more the same color as trees, and it's all on purpose. They're doing it for a reason. So it's kind of fun to be able to kind of highlight and show some of that. A little bit of this water in between. Both gives us a cool effect and also is less work. And maybe put a couple little trees, you know, kind of just sticking out on their own. You could also do individuals, or if you want, you could just do a little splatter like this. There we go. Texture, check, done. You gotta see. There we go. There. That's all you need sometimes. Maybe even do a little bit down here. Ta-da! Finished. If you don't like it too, take a little bit of this, and there we go. Am I doing anything for Plan April? Is that a thing? What is Plan April? That sounds amazing. Is that like Inktober but outside or something? I have until tomorrow to figure this out. Tomorrow being April. We're not done yet. We still have just a little bit more to go. So this right here, gotta add a little bit in here. And like I said, the closer we get, kind of the darker we get. So we're about to add just kind of some like pure dark brush strokes that we cannot come back from. So that's where it gets kind of exciting, is it's like the darker you are, kind of the more gravity you can sort of demand in art. So we are just being judicious about it, but we have a little bit more to go. Oh. Here's a microphone. Sorry for dropping everybody. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do something for Plan April. That sounds very cool. All right, now let's just add a little bit more up in the top. This whole section could use a touch of work, and here's what I'm going to do for it. I'm going to come in with something nice and dark, and I'm going to use it to kind of carve out some of this. There we go, see? By making this dark, I'm going to kind of carve out some of this section, help connect these two, and then all I need to do is add it back in the form of a nice little spiky bit of something. Something like this. There we go, and that should do just fine. Try not to put too much detail. I find that's a good way to kind of overdo something, but it should work here. And then a little bit of blue just to kind of give me something to roll into. And then the rest of these bushes are going to be nice and dark. Then we're going to add in that leg and then we're done. Oh, interesting. Yeah, our April sketching challenge is, well, it could be done in plein air. We have like a really fun list of prompts that we're doing. So I don't know if plein April is like an Inktober one where it's kind of coordinated or it's just like whatever you do it outside. But we are really trying to get into some springy things, and kind of have a ton of fun with that. And every time you do one with us, you get entered to win some sweet prizes. Which might be how the other ones do it too, but we're just trying to shamelessly leverage our platform to get our artists sketchbooks and things from brands. Okay. Yeah, I know Etcher. We're doing something with Etcher this month, which is gonna be so cool. I love Etcher stuff. Okay, a little bit in here, a little bit over there, and so I'm just kind of leaning into this, but adding a couple little bits of grass, and then just letting it kind of reconnect to this blue, and then just sink in. Cutting right across our nice little whatever you call them, ripples. But it's meant to be. There we go. Look at that. How cool is this? A little bit more blue, kind of watery. Move it down, and just like that, we have our landscape is almost done. All we're missing is one leg, and then we're there. There we are. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, how fun. Okay, so now let's do one leg on this heron, and then let's put like maybe a flying one up there, and then I think we're good. Okay, so here it goes. Pressure's on. It's leg time. Never skip leg day. So we have, I think, a little bit of maybe red or orange. We're just going to kind of add a little bit of that, and then we're going to put purple on top of it probably. So here we go. A little bit of some orange or something like this. Perfect. And now let's add just a little bit to the top. Here we go. A little bit to the edge, maybe a tiny bit on the foot there too. There we go. Kind of stepping across. Now let's put one kind of flying way up the top here. I'm not gonna really paint this in. Let me see if I can just get its silhouette right. Flying. Because that's kind of tough. Okay, so they are. Yeah, they're not like a. They're very much not like a great blue heron, you know, where they kind of have that really distinct silhouette. They're much more like. Let's see, we'll kind of try one out here. They're kind of like they got these wings, but they're broad. They're kind of like a condensed heron, which is cool. So kind of they're more like this shape. Okay, so we'll do one there. We'll do a pair of them flying. So we'll do one there like that, and then we'll do one with his wings kind of down, I think, which will be kind of this shape. So get their head over, around, down, and then their feet kind of stick out the back. Okay. Now if only I could just like copy paste, but that is not how this works. So no pressure, but here we go. Okay, I'm just whipping up a nice little batch of something here, nice and dark. Oh boy, pressure's on. And we're just gonna put them right here, right kind of the smack dab center, and we're gonna make them big. So, actually we're not, we're gonna make them pretty small, but here we go. This is, there's no going back. I'm not even outlining. I don't know if you're holding your breath, but you should be. I used too much. I was like paranoid about not getting it too dark, and I think I went overly dark. Okay, they're gonna get bigger. The more tries you have, the bigger they kind of get. So that's sort of our limiting factor. Okay, and then we got a little bit of that face. All right. That I think almost does it. We're just gonna get those wings just a little bit bigger. Okay, that's one. Whew. Yeah, no pressure. Yeah, right. And now here comes number two. Oh, I wish I could just like copy, like directly copy from my picture. I feel like they went so well on the scrap sheet of paper. I shouldn't have. I should have done it right on the big one. It's kind of like you get your one shot, and then here's number two. They kind of go round and over, down. There we go. Okay, sorry, I can't think and sketch at the same time. And I think that should work just fine. Okay, there we go. So here's everything in full. We have some night herons, where they live, with like 4 brain cells and only minimal T. What do you think? Anything I'm missing? I feel like we got most everything. Is good? Yeah, good. Oh, great. Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, I feel like that was that. This is a fun bird. I appreciate the raid and everybody getting me off track. This has been a hoot. Mm-mm-mm. Um, the real question though is what to do next. I think what I probably should do is just sit down and paint like a maniac here. So, yeah, I will be way excited about checking in. Starting tomorrow, we have a really, really, really cool paint a day thing going on. It is going to be just way fun. If you've ever been tempted to do some sketching, give it a try. And the main thing is don't worry about the painting, worry about the painting. How do I say that? Don't worry about a painting, focus on the painting. The painting. Uh, and sometimes it's fun to have a little challenge because you don't have to like come up with a thing that you get excited about that when it doesn't happen it's disappointing, or you already have preconceived ideas. Just like jump on, it's a list. You can find it on our Discord, which you can find through the Trailbound Sketches newsletter, and then the newsletter has an invitation to our Discord just to kind of keep things bot free and that. But really, really cool community. If you haven't gotten a chance, definitely check us out there. And then I'll be live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are the plan. I might try to get outside one of these days. It's warming up in Alaska just a little bit. It is very, very, very snowy still, but it is warming up a little bit. And so my hope is to do some Plan April, as you mentioned. And so if anyone has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I think we're probably gonna raid somebody else here, and I'm gonna just blow my nose a million times, and then potentially get to some of the other sketches that I didn't do that I was supposed to do that I got so distracted. But look at the distraction! Excellent distraction here. You want to see it kind of up close? I feel like we got to do the nice close, the microscope inspection. Here we go. So here is our. Oh, sorry, things are wobbling a bit. Here is our heron from today. Lovely night heron. Good ripples. I really, really like how those turned out. And you can almost see where it was, but I think that was kind of a saving grace, especially those little tiny feathers going in there. That actually worked really, really well. It's small, but it works so well. I love watercolor for that. And then here we have, and we'll go microscopic first, and we'll zoom out. We have our little tiny herons. Look at those mountains. I think those turned out just lovely. Little bits here, just slowly move them down, and then scoot this all over the side. We've got our little tiny night heron just stepping its way, plodding its way through the mud and dusk. And here is kind of the big picture look. There we go. Just a fun one, huh? Ah, thank you, thank you. All right. Well, there is that. I will bid YouTube adieu. And then let's go see who's doing some cool stuff for rating on Trailbound. Anyway, if you get a chance, I'll be here tomorrow and the next day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And thanks so much for distracting me today, and can't wait to